guys.
Good
Welcome
morning.
back to another episode of Conscious Straight Talk with Katie and Lindsay.
Hi.
Happy Friday. We've made it through
Yay!
another week. I'm
It's the
so
weekend.
excited. I know. So today we are going to be talking about something that affects 14.8 million American adults.
Mm-hmm.
And that's probably a low number. I think it's underreported.
I can guarantee you it's a low number.
And that's depression. We're going to be talking about depression today because it so often goes unnoticed and not reported, right? And there used to be such a stigma attached to it.
It's still there, but we're getting better.
It's
and why
getting
are we
better?
getting better?
And I think that has celebrities, has royals, has people that have positions of power, as they start to open up about their stories of depression and how they've struggled.
It kind of is the stigma,
and it kind of allows us to be able to talk about it more, and we need to keep the conversation going because this does affect so many people.
And there is nothing wrong with having a mood disorder. Nobody chooses to have a mood disorder.
Exactly.
Nobody would choose this.
Exactly. So there's a couple of different types of depression that we're going to talk about today, and I think I just want to share that I suffered from major depressive disorder for a very long time.
Mm-hmm. How long?
And a couple of years, probably 3 years. And it was really hard to get through.
Yes.
And I thought that'd be a great place for us to start, if you want to kind of describe.
Major depressive disorder? Okay.
Yeah.
So I'm doing this is very rudimentary. There's so many different pieces of depression, like chronic and episodic, blah, blah, blah. That's too much. I'm just doing easy here. So major depressive disorder is severe. It's the type of depression where you can't get out of bed. I mean, if you do get out of bed, then lots of times you end up on the couch. It's obvious to people. You look depressed. Let's see. Yes. Oh, okay. It can be lots of times, it can be situational or it can be biological. So situational.
Or sometimes both, right?
Oh, for sure. Sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's huge. So situational in the sense that I'm just making up the worst of the worst. You've lost a loved one. It can be a breakup. It can be whatever.
A business failure.
It can. Yes, that's very true.
Something wrong with our
Yeah.
children.
So it's the type that lands us in bed or lands us in the local medical, facility.
Mental health
facility.
For a nice little holiday.
For a nice little holiday, as the celebrities say. I think they actually have a nice time, to be honest. They get some,
Hopefully.
some Xanax
them
and
up.
feel good. They get some rest. So yes, so that's major depressive disorder. Did I get everything that we discussed?
I think so. And I know I just want to go over some of the signs, some of the symptoms of this, and that's overwhelming feelings of helplessness or sadness. Now, again, for more than 2 weeks, right? We're not talking about like the 1 or 2 days that are just bad and rough. If you're feeling this way, every day, all day, for more than 2 weeks, it's time. Please reach out, talk to somebody.
Get a therapist.
If you're getting angry over small things that are like silly, like you spill a cup of coffee or something, and then that's it. The whole day is
outbursts.
ruined.
Outbursts. You just scream at people for no reason. And one thing that I think I forgot to write down is hopelessness. That is a key component of major depressive disorder.
And loss of interest in usual activities.
Which is called anhedonia, but you don't need to know that.
Anxiety, feeling anxious all the time, not able to make decisions, kind of leaning them off to other people.
Too stressful.
Or
it's
making really poor decisions for yourself. And inability to concentrate. You're constantly thinking of suicide and death and how the world would be without you. Why you were here in the first place. Loss or gain of weight. You either start eating a lot more, stress eating, or not eating. Too much sleep or too little sleep will cause fatigue. So these are some of the symptoms that you want to look for in depression. If you notice that in yourself, or if you have someone close or a loved one that's been going through this and you've been noticing it for a while, please reach out. Don't go through it alone. The suicide rates are all up, and it's just not worth it. I would rather sit and hear your story and listen to you without judgment than have to attend a funeral.
I would too, because it's
all
so
day,
prevalent.
Any day.
And honestly, I just want to let you know that we will talk about suicide because it's on the rise.
It is.
And it is.
Especially teen suicides.
Especially teen suicides,
scary.
and it's just it's just the hot topic right now, unfortunately.
But we're going to be talking about that next week. Next Wednesday, I think, right?
Yeah.
And so let's jump in real quick because we've gone over the symptoms of MDD.
Major depressive disorder.
And there's another category of depression.
So this is called dysthymia. And dysthymia is a low-grade depression. It's kind of, but with both of them you wake up and you feel like, bleh. But dysthymia, you can function usually, but it's just a feeling of, let's say it's really, really sunny outside, but you feel like you have an umbrella and a big black cloud and rain is coming down on you, and it's not occurring, but that's the way that you feel. Dysthymia is usually chronic. I just want to tell you, dysthymia is also can be biological and or situational, but it's more biological. I want to tell you, Lindsey shared her experience with you, and I want to tell you that I also suffer from both major depressive disorder and dysthymia. I had a great grandmother that had depression. My grandmother had depression. My dad and my aunt have depression. And then they gave it to me. Thank you so much, Dad. Thank you. My sister escaped it. So good for you, Julie, if you're listening. Yeah. So did I miss anything, Lindsey?
No, I think so. Those are all the signs of.
Oh, wait. I did miss something. I'm so sorry.
Jump.
So there's a lot of crossover in the symptoms. It's the severity. So major depressive disorder is going to be much more severe. Maybe even thinking of how you're going to kill yourself, possibly.
Making a plan,
intent. You have to have a weapon.
Make a plan to call somebody instead.
No,
please.
Make a suicide plan with your therapist. And so
because the symptoms are pretty similar.
They're very similar, but the two things that are different is usually with major depressive disorder, there's a feeling of extreme hopelessness. Like there's just no hope. And so as a therapist, that's what you want to try to work with them to instill, that there is hope, that there is more out there. And then the other difference is the thoughts of suicide. Usually people with dysthymia keep going, and they're not usually thinking of suicide, but, there's not one for all. And
a few other signs, too, are like avoiding social situations.
Because you feel like crap. Why would you want to hang out with anybody?
Your decreased productivity. You can still, with dysthymia, you can still get stuff done, but not to the level that you were used to, which can also cause frustration within you.
And you feel badly. You feel badly about yourself.
Yeah. So you went over the two biggest
types of
differences.
Yeah.
No, but the two differences between them.
Between the depression, the two different types of depression.
Extreme hopelessness. It's just so much more extreme with MDD. And people
suicide.
are feeling it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So we've gone over characteristics. We've gone over what they actually are. Let's talk about what we can do for these. How do we treat these depressions? What can we do even on a home level ourselves to start to produce more serotonin and make ourselves feel better?
So, some people aren't going to like what I'm about to say, but medication is a major component.
Sometimes you need it, and if there's nothing wrong, that's why it's here for us.
Yes, and one thing I want to add here is that I see a lot in my room, and I've just experienced it over and over again, where people get on medication, they feel great, yeah, life is great, I beat it, blah, blah, blah. And then they go off their medication.
Like within a month or two.
And they dive, and it's bad. And now they're back in bed, and they're feeling horribly, and whatever else.
So it is important, what I'm hearing from you saying that, it's very important to make that plan with your therapist and stick to it.
Stay on your meds. However, it's a process. It's a process. So it's very likely this is going to occur. So what happens is then they start to feel horrible. Then they decide, oh, maybe I should go back to medication. The only issue with this is that when you do go back on the medication, most medications take about 6 weeks, antidepressants, take about 6 weeks to feel your full effects. Now, that doesn't mean that within a week or 2 weeks you're not going to start to feel the effects of it and starting to feel better. But like I said, it's usually the full 6 weeks unless you're dealing with Lexapro, and I don't need to go into details on that. So medication and psychotherapy.
And I know some of those medications are dangerous to just stop quick. Like just
there are
cut it
There
cold
are.
turkey.
There are. And talk to your doctor about that because, I've studied psycho.
That's why it's important, right, to work with your therapist and have your plan and stay on it together. Mm-hmm. That's what we need is really important.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So what are some other ways of dealing?
So I think I am a huge proponent of exercise. If you hate exercise, I'm sorry. Like, try to push yourself.
Even just a walk, though.
A walk is great. It's whatever you love to do. Because if you don't love to do it, let's say you're going to kickboxing and every morning you're like, this is the most horrible thing I've ever done. You're not going to continue it, okay? You got to find what works for you. Walking is the best form of exercise. It's what works for you. Yep. In my opinion, exercise is just as important as medication. Absolutely. It is so important because it releases that serotonin, it releases those endorphins, and it releases that dopamine. And so it's the happy drug. It does. It gets rid of the anxiety, helps with the adrenals, all of it. Yep. Okay.
So exercise, food is a big one, what you're eating. Mm-hmm. You guys can't sit there and be eating Doritos and candy bars all day and soda and thinking you're going to feel good at the end of the day.
Or else, you're
going to feel terrible.
I mean, that's what the Night Stalker ate, and, it didn't work out so well for him, just letting you know.
Oh, my goodness. Psychotherapy is a great way to
you have to. No, you have to do psychotherapy. I don't care who you do it with, but don't do it with your friends because your friends probably don't know what they're doing. Plus, if they're therapists, they shouldn't be treating you. So psychotherapy, medication, exercise, food, like she said, so important.
Checking your hormones.
Get your hormones tested. I don't want to be gender biased. I will say that this affects women more than men because there's
or maybe menopause. Just men are not.
Or maybe
we just don't know about how it's affecting
that is very true because we don't know enough about
men
hormones.
Are definitely crazy.
No, we love you men. We love you men. It's just that you have more testosterone and we have more estrogen and we go through menopause.
But having the hormones checked.
So having your hormones checked, also a newer science, but hopefully it's on its way and it's getting better and better.
Being studied.
Also, getting your adrenals checked. Let me try to explain what your adrenals are. Like I said, not a doctor.
Did you know that I actually went through that?
No.
It's called Addison's disease, and my adrenal glands did fail.
Okay.
So my Western doctor told, and you're going to have to explain more about the
I'm going to
try. But the Western doctor that my insurance had me seeing told me that I needed to be medicated. I think there were 2 pills that I would have to take for the rest of my life, he told me, because they don't have a way of fixing it or reversing it. Mm-hmm. I refused to believe that, and I didn't want to be medicated on something to fix. It just didn't make sense to me. It didn't feel. It just didn't feel right to me.
Yeah.
So I had found a naturopath who used a technique from actually Switzerland and diagnosed exactly what was going on with me and found the correct combination of herbs. And it took, I want to say it took 4 months, maybe 6 months. And I was working with her every day. She was encouraging me, telling me what to take.
Yep.
And when I went back to the Western doctor 6 months later, I'll just go with 6 months. I think that's how long it took. And they retested me for everything. I no longer had Addison's, and the doctor was like,
I can't, that's amazing.
How did you do this? Amazing. Like, it's not supposed to be able to reverse itself this way. And I said, well, clearly it can.
That's absolutely amazing that happened. And
you can.
One other thing, that's amazing. I love that story.
But I think when you live in a hypervigilant state for long periods of time,
your
wears
sympathetic
down.
Nervous system is on all the time. And in America, China, I don't want to say other countries aren't experiencing this, but we're in a rat race all the time. And so our adrenals are constantly being taxed. Our sympathetic nervous system is constantly going because we're running from one thing to another.
And you had a great analogy.
And so here's the deal. I am not a mechanic. Like, I don't even know how to barely put gas in the car, let alone oil. No, it's just going to blow up my car. But this is the way I'm going to explain it.
Adrenals,
This is the way I'm going to explain it because this is the way somebody explained it to me. Is that what happens is your adrenals get taxed because of stress, anxiety, and everything else. And your brake pads, they cease to exist. They just stop working. And so now you've got, I would say bone on bone, but that's not a car.
Metal on metal.
Metal on metal. Okay, so you're just going
horrible.
So before, when you were in your wonderful Range Rover, kidding, I don't have one, but let's just say you're in your wonderful Range Rover, Tesla, because, I think Elon Musk is cool. You're just
I
cruising.
heard there's one floating in space.
There is.
My son told me they put a
what?
car into space. It's just a Tesla is floating around in space.
Okay, well, I would like to be on that as long as it doesn't crash. But anyways, so what happens is it's completely
raw.
It's completely raw. It's completely metal to metal. So when you're in your car, let's say, okay, men, I'm sure you relate to this. When you're in your car and your adrenals are working well, you're just floating along. Everything's awesome. You're playing
beautiful
music.
Ride.
Awesome ride. You're going down the Coast Highway to Santa Barbara, whatever. Okay? Now your adrenals are completely taxed. The brake pads are gone. Okay? And now you're going to feel every little bump in the road. And let me tell you,
it hurts.
It ain't feeling good. Okay? So that is something that's very important to get tested. And I wanted to add...
And it's something most people don't know about. Like, when they said it to me, I was like, what are you talking about? I've never even heard of this before.
Yes. Yeah, I know it because I study this and I see a million people. But the one other thing, when she added about her adrenals and how she had Addison's disease and how she fixed it, and it took her 4 months, that just brought me back to medication really quickly. I just want you to know there's no blood test for medication, okay? So people have to be open to trying different medications until you find the right medication that works for you.
Yeah.
And for some people that can take a long time, but don't give up. Don't give up. There's always hope. There's always combining meds, etc., etc.
And reach out. And you know what? If you don't reach the right therapist the first time or the right life coach or the right psychologist, try again. I had to go through like 7 or 8 people.
Right. And give them a couple tries. Give them a couple tries. I'd say 3 to 5 sessions. And if you know, sometimes you know in the first session that you just can't stand this person. But it's all about the rapport and the support that you get from that person. If you don't feel safe with that person, it's done. It's not going to work.
And above all else, the biggest takeaway we both want you to get from this show today is that if you identify any of these symptoms with yourself or someone you love, please
get help.
Please don't hesitate to reach out. So many people are doing it. It's becoming more common than you can imagine now.
Everybody's getting therapy.
There is nothing to be embarrassed about.
Nothing.
Nothing at all.
Nothing.
We've both suffered from it. I can stand up and own that.
I have no issues. In fact, I feel like it makes me a much better therapist.
A stronger person.
And you know what? I feel like, yes, it makes me a better therapist. I feel like I can empathize in a way that other people can't. And I'm sure...
Because you have understanding.
I get it. I get it. And I'm sure Lindsey feels the same. So next week, did we cover everything?
I think that's it. And next week, we're going to be talking about antisocial personality disorder.
Don't worry, I'm going to explain
So we're going to have a lot of fun talking about that one.
This is an awesome
Because depression plays a role in there, too.
It plays a role in everything.
Everywhere.
Okay.
Yeah.
Everything. Okay.
All right, you guys, have an awesome weekend.
Yes.
Reach out, talk to us, get signed up for our masterclass, which will be not next Monday, but the Monday after. We just need your email so we can send you the free worksheet.
Hit the like. Right? Don't you hit like buttons?
I'm not very good with this stuff. Give us a like.
Give us a...
And you know what, you guys? If you have any questions or any things that you would like us to cover or talk about, go ahead and drop it in the comments right under here.
Yeah, we'd love to hear.
We're reading those, and we can definitely address, and we'll get back to you on if you have any questions or anything. Absolutely. We would love to hear from you guys.
Yes.
So, happy weekend.
Friday.
We'll see you Monday. Bye.